Baker Mayfield was not good. He shouldn't have been playing. If he says after the game, I may sit next week because I need surgery on my left shoulder, well, why didn't you sit last night then? Because that game was as meaningless for the Browns as Sunday will be when the Bengals come to town. It's that simple. If your shoulder is that, maybe last night was when he finally realized a couple of things. Number one, the shoulder has been a problem for him all year long, and his own stubbornness has made it worse. And number two, he ain't ever going to get a walk-off in Cleveland like the one that Ben got. That's just not going to happen for Baker in Cleveland. It may happen somewhere else if it ever happens, but it's not going to happen for Baker. Let's hear from Baker since we're in the neighborhood of him discussing the possibility of shutting it down and getting that left shoulder surgically repaired.
And I'm an extremely competitive guy. I think you guys know that. But I think now it's time for me to start, looking at what's in the best interest for me and my health. I've continued to lay it out on the line when I haven't been healthy and tried to fight for our guys. And right now I'm pretty damn beat up, to be honest with you. There's no way around it. I gave it everything I had tonight. Yeah, I've made the decision. We've had discussions that I am going to have surgery. I am going to get this shoulder fixed and, be able to come back next year at 100%. So that's been decided. Now, when it's happening, that has not been decided. As I alluded earlier, I don't have that answer for you regarding next week.
Well, plenty of time in the offseason to speculate and analyze and report on whether he'll be back with the Browns next year. I think the jury's out on that after everything we've seen this year. And I really do think for him to be at Heinz Field last night and be on the other side of the love and the affection and the outpouring for Ben Roethlisberger has to have an impact on him. As he sits back and ponders which way his career is going to go after 4 seasons that have been largely disappointing, especially when you consider 2019 and 2021, when the bar was high, the expectations were high, the presumption was there both years they'd be playoff teams, and they weren't either time. It's got to cause him to do some soul searching, and I think that clip last night is the early indication there's going to be a lot of soul searching in Cleveland, both by him and the organization at large, Chris.
Yeah, they need it. They need it. I mean, like we've said many times, like you heard the guys on the telecast say last night. I mean, you turn on any pregame show, whatever. I mean, the Browns they're the lead dog for the most disappointing team in football this year. I don't think anybody would really disagree with that. You look at the roster and the talent, and you go, "What? They could end up 7-9? Or 7-10? Right? Am I right about that? Yes, they're right. I mean that to me is just it's never would have thought that before the year, especially with the way the year ended in general. The way last year ended, I should say. The way Baker looked towards the end of last year. You thought everything was on the up and up, and yeah, here we are now. It's like we're back to 2019 at the end of the year there going, oh, I mean, that was a weird year. I don't know what the hell to expect from Baker. And I certainly, he's not going to get a long-term deal. That's not going to happen. He's going to be back on his 5th-year option, and we're going to see where it goes from there. But, yeah, I mean, that's
I'm not ready to say that.
You're not ready to say that?
I'm not ready to say that.
Oh, you might be right,
because if I'm the Browns, I'm moving on. If I own the team, and Browns fans everywhere should be very happy that I don't, although in comparison to what your current situation is, maybe you shouldn't be all that unhappy. But I'd move on from him. I've seen enough. Because I'm making the assumption that my pasta and meatballs gut is on the money as it relates to what a pain in the butt he probably is behind the scenes. Sorry, Baker, you may not like that, but you got to own it at some point. I have the feeling he is a massive pain in the ass behind the scenes.
I hear you.
I just have a feeling.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question.
Out front, if just based on the stuff out front, because everybody's always different out front than they are behind the scenes. I think behind the scenes he is a major pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. And, whether they want to, he's certainly not going to be rolled out the red carpet. I'll say that going into next year. I think he will be back. I do. But I can understand them maybe putting a little bit more pressure on him. Maybe it's more of an open competition with Case Keenum. Maybe they even bring in a higher level backup to compete with him and kind of, light a fire under his butt that way. I don't know, but
it's not going to make it any better. It's not going to make it any better.
Well, we're just going to see where it goes. But the honeymoon's over. I mean, kind of like you said, it's all over. It really is. There's no more excuses. There's some things I'm going to say here to defend him to a degree. But, yeah, also, he was the number 1 pick. He won the Heisman. He came from Oklahoma. And he's clearly not as good as Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen to this point. So they made the wrong decision there. That doesn't help him out. Yes, his play, some of his antics haven't helped him out either. There's no doubt. But we have seen moments of good. More than moments. We've had little snippets to go, okay, that's a 3 or 4 game stretch, or that's pretty good football. I will give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt this year because of the injuries. He did play beat up. I'm going to give him credit for sucking it up and going out there and playing that way every week. I mean, last night.
But it's his own fault.
I get
it's his own fault.
I get it.
Week 2, tough guy, got to go make the tackle and mess up my left shoulder.
They know
Don't
what they
do
drafted.
That.
I hear you.
Don't do that.
Mike, I hear you. But it's still you still got to give him credit for hanging in there throughout the year. Let alone Mike too. Just to let me finish the point here.
Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Their offense, as you see last night, and as the guys question, there's things to question there. This is why I questioned the Stefanski hire from the get-go. How many times during the year have we talked about, like, if they can't run the ball, their pass game can't stand alone by itself. And again, last night we saw that. It just can't. First off, yeah, they need more weapons at receiver, even though they had Odell Beckham Jr. and they couldn't make that happen. But the scheme itself is ordinary. It's ordinary. There's just not a lot there to offer. And then, yes, he's second-guessing himself, like on this play there, 3rd and 2. I mean, he's got 2 people open over the middle, throw the freaking ball. But, yeah, his head's spinning because there's no rhythm to that offense. They don't run the ball, even though they're like one of the best running offensive lines in football. And then he's getting his ass beat in. It's tough sledding there. For him. So that's where I give him the benefit of the doubt. But you're right in the sense of, like, the honeymoon is over, and maybe it is 50-50 whether he's back. I don't know. I expect him to be back, but I certainly understand the conversation going down.
Let's hear one more clip from Baker before we get back to the Big Ben Love Fest. And we apologize for making the detour, but I'm sorry, this is more interesting to me than everybody else is going to be heaping praise. There's another network that probably will be heaping praise on Big Ben for 3 hours nonstop. We want to get into the weeds on the stuff that really is important to the future. Here's Baker Mayfield talking about the 9 sacks that he took last night and maybe why those happened.
We got TJ Watt over there, and we're not giving our rookie tackle a whole lot of help. It's not going to be good for him.
Do you believe that tonight and really all season long you've been put in the best position possible to be successful?
I'm not going to get into too many details about that as a full season evaluation. We've obviously been pretty banged up. I believe in James. This isn't. I pray to God that you guys don't spin this into something where I'm criticizing James Hudson. That's not what I'm doing. We're talking about an all-pro that he's going up against, and he's hasn't had very many starts. So I'm proud of James. He kept swinging. He kept fighting. Now, when it comes to, what we've had to deal with all season, there's been a lot of ups and downs. Do I believe I could play better? Absolutely. Do I believe there's positions that we as an offense could have been put in that are better? Absolutely. There's so many critiques throughout the year. If there wasn't, we wouldn't be sitting here at 7-9. So it is what it is.
That's a fair assessment. What else is he going to say?
Yeah,
it was a major disappointment of a season, and it's not all on him. He's just part of it. But look, when you have a season like that where the buildup is so intense, one of us thought he was going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say who. But hey, it happens. It's not like it was some crazy dart that you threw. They had that vibe after last year. There was a sense that they could take the next step. They went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs to start the season.
Yeah. Kicked butt in free agency in the offseason. Had a good draft, I just thought maybe it might happen, but I was wrong there for sure.
In some ways, it really was a disservice to them to open the season with that game. If they could have had a few not that there are any easy wins in the NFL. I don't care who you're playing, but just build a little confidence, work in the new guys, not have to come out of the gate so hot against a team like the Chiefs that, anytime they open at home, no matter how good or bad they are, that's a tough place to go and win. So, it was a tough year for the Browns. And I think that they have to take an objective view of everything, and they're a team that's driven by analytics in all respects, with Paul DePodesta coming over from baseball, and he's still been there. He's been the one constant the past 5 or 6 years. It'll be interesting to see what decisions they make.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.